All right, we are at an installment here of another episode of Legends of Eden Prairie Track and Cross Country, and we're lucky with us today to have Callie Malone Glass now. She was a 2005 graduate at Eden Prairie. So, Callie, thanks for being with us today.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Why don't we start with this? Why don't you give everyone just kind of a background of your family, how you got into running, other sports you played when you were younger. Start with that to begin with.
Okay, yeah. I was 100% a soccer girl, like since I was like 3. So I was soccer, soccer, soccer. I had an older brother and an older sister who ran in junior high and in high school. My sister was the same way as me, loved soccer, soccer, soccer. And I think she played 1 year at high school as well, and then transitioned to cross country and then did track in the spring. And I ended up doing the same thing. I ran, at CMS, it's pretty flexible. You could still do both sports. And then I think I told myself if I made like the freshman A team in 9th grade, I was going to play it because I knew I would not make varsity. And at that time, it was like, well, if you're not going to make varsity as a freshman or sophomore, forget it. So, and then spring, so I played fall soccer. And then in the spring, I ended up doing track, and I was terrible. I was terrible. And I still just wasn't, I don't know. I still really wanted to hang on to the soccer thing at the time. But then I think sophomore year is when I really picked up, and I was like, all right, I'm in this. And then that's when I did cross country for the first time at the high school.
Awesome. And I'm sure you don't remember all of this, but just for everyone listening, so by the time she was done, Callie's high school accomplishments, she qualified for state in cross country twice. Her junior, now tell me if I'm off on this, but this I written down. Her junior year, she was 28th overall. Her team was 3rd that year. And then her senior year placed 9th in the entire state, and her team was 5th. And then track her senior year, I still remember this, a state meet, she qualified in the section she ran 11:01 in the 3200. That was the number 2 time in her school history at the time. It's now number 5, which is still incredible that she ran that fast. Ended up going to the state meet in the 2 mile, and she ran that on a Friday morning, placed 9th in the state, and then had graduation that evening, if I remember right. And then was at the senior party for a while, got to bed, came back the next day, and anchored a 4x8 team and placed 2nd with that team. And I think he ran like a 9:22 or something. And that was also the number 2 time in our school history as well. So a pretty successful season for you at the end of the track year there. And then you went and ran in college. Tell us a little bit about your college experience too.
Yeah, so I ran at UND, University of North Dakota, which was Division II at the time. Now it's D1. I felt like, honestly, it was great, but it did not compare to my high school experience in any way. The bond with the girls was not as strong. It was great, but I swear, I don't know what it is, but I think it was the high mileage and the level of intensity at Eden Prairie that made me way faster than I ever touched in college. We had longer distance meets for cross country. And I never even ran a single 800, I don't think,
really?
In college. Yeah. I think it was 3K, 5K strictly in track. Maybe some distance medleys here and there with the 1200 or 1500. But yeah, the longest run I think I did in college was 8 miles. So it was just very, very different training regimen. Our coach was just really soft spoken and nice, but I just didn't have the fire as much as I did in high school, because I don't know, I think honestly, if I had been getting faster and faster in college, I would have been super into it, but I was just kind of I don't know what it was. I had way more passion in high school. But we had a great team, and we went to nationals twice in cross country. So that was fun. I was around the number 4 runner. I think I just knew I peaked my senior year in high school, and I was just I kept getting injured. I wasn't getting faster.
Well, and you mentioned your teammates at Eden Prairie. You came through with a very close knit group of kids, and that certainly is a big part of it. That's part of your experience. So. But that's
absolutely.
That kind of goes to my next question. Is go back to high school. I mentioned you about, tell us some just memories you have. Any different workouts you remember doing, or things you remember from races, or just things with friends. I mean, memories that you have from high school.
Yeah. So I remember, like, well, first of all, my closest friends to this day are still my Eden Prairie Runner friends. Like, we all hang out once a month now. Well, not anymore because of coronavirus, but we are doing like monthly get-togethers at a minimum with all of our kids
That's
now. Like
awesome.
the Hedberg household, Annie and Betsy. I mean, it's like the same group. I talk to the girls like every week still. The whole crew is still like very much intact. So those are like lifelong friendships that I would never have had if I didn't switch to running.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I really think, I don't know if it's like the blend, you're just like running side by side and you just have these deep conversations with everyone. And then it was like we never got sick of each other. We were hanging out constantly outside of practice and meets, and I don't know, we never had any like qualms or issues with each other. And it was just like a great group, and we're still that close. The workouts, I remember it was like a love-hate. Like I would be like dreading them, but also get like really fired up. I remember, I think like one specific, so I think this was my first year running at the high school. So it must have been just the beginning of the season, sophomore year in the fall. And we were doing like I think it was a tempo run. And another teammate said to me something like, "You're going too fast. We're only supposed to go like 60% or something." And I was like, I feel pretty good. Like
The light bulb goes on.
yeah, so I think that's like what like started me being like, I think I'm gonna be like okay, like because I hadn't ran
Right.
at that level yet, and so that was like I think when I first realized like I think I can be pretty good, because I was terrible in the spring my freshman year.
You weren't terrible. You say that, but you were competitive. You were learning the
I was
sport.
competitive, but like yeah, I don't know, something like just got under me like that fall, I think, where I was like, okay, I think I can really do this.
Yeah, exactly. What are, when you've talked about them a couple already, Callie, but what are some lessons that you would say you really learned through running in your high school experience? And I guess at the same time, like what advice do you give to our kids who are in the program right now? Whether it be about running or just life in general,
Yeah,
things you've learned.
I would say like use it for working so hard at something. Like I don't think I've worked that hard and diligently at anything else really, like at that level of discipline. Yes, I worked hard in college, like for classes and everything, and I worked hard at every job I've had, and I've worked hard at being a mom, and I don't know, every other aspect, but it doesn't compare. Like you don't really get the time. Even in college when I was competing, I didn't have like the level of intensity that I needed, I felt like. So like high school running program at Eden Prairie just like kind of brought out like the fire and the best of you. And I think about now I'm going out, if I get like a few 30-minute runs in a week, that's a good week. And I am not even looking at the clock. So, and I think
but you're still doing it. That's the key though. You're still doing it.
I'm doing it from here to there. Yep. Still getting out there. But but I think about how short really the seasons are. I mean, it's like what, 2-3 months really?
Yeah, you're about 10 weeks for cross country, maybe 11 for track.
Like the time you can shave is amazing. And I think about that all the time, like, gosh, like I'm almost like maybe I should try to like train for a 5K this summer or something and see if I can like get my time down, because like you don't have that opportunity as an adult when you're busy doing other things to have this level of training and like see just how fast or how like much you can improve. Or I mean, if you're not looking to get fast, whatever, like it's just the best shape you'll ever be in, you know, and it's kind of a rare opportunity. But so I think it's just like, if I were to apply that again and have that level of like coaching and intense like time and dedication allocated to something, like you can like really surprise yourself with what kind of results you can get. So that's I guess what I would say. And I think just use the time. It's fun. Like I remember just laughing all the time and having just like the greatest friendships. And I don't know, it was a good group of kids. I don't know what it's like now. I'm sure it's the same.
It's very similar.
Like, yeah, like you're so busy and preoccupied with it that you don't have time to get into trouble with like wrong crowd. I'm gonna say that too, because I don't know. Who knows if I didn't have that? Like, what would I have done with all that spare time after school?
It kept you busy.
But I mean, I don't know. It's a good group. What else? Yeah, you're gonna like, if you try to like cut corners and stuff, you're not gonna get the same results. It's like you got to put in the work, and
it's funny.
It's kind of a good challenge to just see how far you can go.
As Callie was singing back this afternoon, so I think if I remember correctly, Coach Larry Anderson was the head coach for 30 some years at Eden Prairie, and then he coached you freshman, sophomore, junior year, and I was an assistant then. And then if I remember right, was it your senior year was my first year as head coach, and that was that first year that we went to the summer miles trip. We used to go to Coach A's cabin, but then remember we went to the Lutheran Island camp. We still go today, 15 years later. But I was telling the kids this last year that the first year we went up there, I looked back, we had 24 kids that went total. And this last year we brought, I think, 68. But we had 24 kids that first year that went. Do you remember that it rained the entire time and was about 58, 60 degrees when we were up there? How miserable it was for the weather.
It was cold.
And I've told the kids we've lucked out almost every year with good weather, but that year we were there that was a rough first year up there.
Your first time doing, you're like, oh man.
And then we went to your parents' cabin for burgers one day. Your mom and dad were nice enough to open their place for us and everything like that. So it was a good memory of being up there.
I still like remember how fun it was though. So.
Yeah, like you said, you make fun of it no matter what it is. You enjoy it.
Yeah,
so.
absolutely.
Awesome. Well, Callie, I really appreciate taking the time to visit with us. It's good to catch up with you, and know that you're always welcome to come back and join us for practice anytime.